Oh, shit. Oh, I guess now we're live. All right, we're live. All right, welcome to the Buzz Pod. You guys know who I am, Nico Blatchman, joining us today, fresh off signing his first professional contract with the Providence Bruins in the American Hockey League. Sherbrooke Phoenix assistant captain, hometown hero, Alex Olivier-Voyer. Welcome to the pod. Oh, bienvenue à le pod.
Yeah, thank you, Blatchy. Yeah, thank you.
For those who don't know or can't tell by the two-worded last name Olivier-Voyer, and who can tell by the Frenchest-looking guy in the league in front of you now. First language is French, so bear with us as we go with the English. But you just signed with the Providence Bruins, so you're going to be speaking a lot of English. How are you feeling about that?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna practice that a little bit more. That part of the language phase. Oh shit! But yeah, I'm really proud, and it's a dream come true. To be honest, it's amazing, and especially with the Bruins organization. It's a big organization. Like I like the way they play too. You know, like the big bad Bruins, and I play that way, so I think that's why they signed me too a little bit.
Definitely. That's what I was actually going to get into, man. Like the Boston Bruins, they're guys, they're known for, I don't know, like grittiness, toughness type of game. They love all around players, like kind of like Milan Lucic was in his prime and stuff like that. You play a heavy game as well. Like you obviously you're skilled. You put up 88 points this season in the QMJHL, not a big deal. Uh, but you're a heavy player. You're 6'3", what, like 215 or something?
No, not yet, not yet.
No way you're
But,
too with you. But you're like 6'2", aren't you? 6'2"?
yeah, 6'2" and maybe 195 right now. It depends of the day.
Yeah, but like, man, you've always been a tough guy. I find like your 16-year-old year in the Q, you fought the sheriff of the league, not a big deal.
Yeah,
So
actually the first real fight.
that was your first real fight?
Yeah, well, I fought the first time in my first preseason game, but it was not in a real season game. Like nobody who can see that fight, but like with you was the first one.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. I popped your cherry. Welcome to the league. That was insane, man.
Yeah,
So
young by big vet.
you were 16 years old. I was 17. We fight. And like you fought as a 16-year-old in the queue, and you were a first-round pick in the queue. Also not a big deal. 15th overall by the Rimouski Oceanic. Talk about like how you're a first rounder, but you're also fighting in your first year. Even you also fought like I think every year. I don't know if you fought this year or not, but you fought like that's part of your game. Would you say? Would you say you? I actually wanted to ask. Did you start fighting maybe your 16 year to like earn a spot in the lineup, or did you always know that like you wanted that to be a part of your game? Like you were going to be a tough player to play against, and you were going to have to drop the mitts once in a while.
Well, as a kid, then I always like played a physical game a little bit, like back in bantam or midget. So as you go to the queue, you know it's allowed to fight, and as a fan, I always like to see some guys fight. I think it's part of the game, and I mean, I don't describe my type of player as a fighter, but I think it's one of my tool that I can have in my bag, and like coming in 16 years old and fight a little bit. I think I fought 2 or 3 times that season. It was just like obviously to be like accepted by the guy a little bit. Yeah, you're a new guy, and you wanna prove yourself. And well, I didn't love it, but I did not like it. So
You
I
didn't love
stopped.
it your first one because it was against me.
Actually, the adrenaline was kind of high, so it was good. I actually like it.
That was a long tilt too. That was a very long, hard fought tilt right there.
Yeah, yeah, it's nice. It's
Uh,
it's nice. Long tilts are nice.
Definitely. Um, You were a fan. You mentioned you were a fan growing up in Sherbrooke, and you grew up watching the Sherbrooke Phoenix. So talk about how like you're from Sherbrooke. That's like one of the Frenchest towns in the league.
Well,
You're
not
super.
that much because there's a Bishop College that's pretty nice college there, and it's kind of
Yeah,
hang.
definitely. We're gonna get into that later. We're gonna get into Bishops later. But let's talk about how your dad, obviously right behind you, was a QMJHL ref, like over 1,000 games, I think. Um, you were pretty much like, did you even know what the NCAA was? Did you ever even like think about like maybe should I try to go U.S. college or never?
Um, I knew a little bit, and obviously my dad like was in the league for 30 years as a referee, so I knew a little bit more the Q. And but for the NCAA part, it was more like at my draft year that my agent like asked me like or proposed me that there's a path there, there's a way like to follow your dream, and there's guys doing it that. And I kind of look a little bit at it, but I didn't really get some approached by any teams, or I think my agent like just saw that I wasn't not really interested about the school part, and like with the NCAA, so I just keep following the the classic junior guy here in
Yeah, definitely, definitely. So the Q draft, I mean, over there, especially for you, you got a team in your hometown is a big deal. Now you're a young kid. You played in like names like you played for Magog and a bunch of French name teams
yeah.
before you went to the Q. And you get drafted first round, 15th overall by the Rimouski Oceanic. Were you expecting to be drafted that high and by that team? Like, what was that experience like?
Um, on that day, it was first of all, it was in Sherbrooke, my hometown, so in front of all of
Oh,
my family. So it was a special day for me. Just going to the draft at the rink, like by my house, and but uh, for when I get drafted, it was kind of special because I was ranked pretty high. Like I think it was 12 overall or 13, I don't know. But when the players going and going, and then there's come the 15 rank, and it was actually Valdor who had that pick, and then Rimouski didn't have a first round and a second, and neither a third. I think that year because they won the cup before, so they just like sold every of their pick.
yeah.
So then they trade like a 2 and a 3 to get me there in on that spot. So I was obviously like it was amazing. I went to Rimouski and had a lot of fun there. I was in my idol team, when he was playing there, Sidney Crosby, and also it was kind of surprised me because when I went there, they they just put me in a billet, and then they say like when they welcome me there, they say, yeah, we used to have Sidney Crosby in our billet, so like it was kind of special to sleep in the same bed as him, and
Sleeping in the same bed as Sidney Crosby. That's definitely
yeah,
going in the highlights of this podcast. You slept in the same bed as Sidney Crosby. That's amazing, dude. That's unreal. So you go to Rimouski. You were probably psyched that you went to a French town, because back then I can't even imagine. You learned most of your English in the queue, and
uh,
now you're
I was terrible. Now I'm
yeah.
terrible, and I used to be a lot more terrible.
Yeah. No, you're way, man. You're impressing me right now. You're really impressing me. But so you go to Rimouski, French town. You're a first round pick. You played 38 games your 16-year-old year. You had 5 points. Talk about breaking into the league. What was that like for you?
It was amazing. Actually, my first game in the queue was my dad ref me, and it was kind of special. I scored my first goal in my first shift, but then it was a lot of a lot of time to the next goal. I only had two that year, but I went to the U17, and then when I come back, I fractured my femur. So I was like out of the game for 3 months. It was kind of hard there. Like just it was a tough year, honestly. A 16-year-old year was a kind of tough one.
Yeah, I mean, talk about the mental pressure. And I mean, you obviously had confidence going into your 16-year-old year. You're a first round pick going into Rimouski, but talk about also like the pressure that you might have felt like being a first round pick, and also how that might have made you like struggle with yourself, because like you maybe expected yourself to have a certain amount of points, certain amount of accomplishments in your first year, sorry, that you weren't able to have.
Yeah, was honestly kind of hard because obviously you got a little bit some pressure, but I did not that much on that year because like we were a rebuild team and like we had a lot of a new guy and but it was kind of tough mentally because like I said I injured myself, but just before I scored my first goal in my first game and like I think it's gonna be like not easy, but I think that's junior, all right, and then I get a couple tilts like the next day, I tilt a couple next day. So I said, okay, I can play there. But like then when I came back from the tournament, and then the next game I fractured my femur. It was kind of hard. And then after going back, like I came in, I think it was start of March, and I missed like 3 months of hockey. So I was like not part of that league. I was like a step behind everyone, and it was hard to like I knew I had to work to do it, and then that's in the summer for the next season.
Yeah, you come back next season, 65 games played, 20 points. Then your 18-year-old year that you played with Blatchy, not a big deal. 55 games played, 32 points. So 5 points, 20 points, 32 points. As a first rounder, maybe at this point in your career, would you say that you were expecting yourself to be at a higher level at this point in your career? Because like you were kind of in there in the talks and the ranks of the NHL draft, and you actually went to like an NHL camp recently and stuff like that, and definitely like everyone in the queue pays attention to the NHL draft, right? So talk about like your NHL draft year, and then you were a first rounder in the queue, then you don't get drafted in the NHL. Did that add a chip on your shoulder? Because I feel like that's kind of when you started to turn it up.
Yeah, honestly, when I didn't get drafted, it was kind of punched in the face a little bit, or not even get drafted, but I didn't get an invite that year, and I thought I could get an invite. I think it was 9-8 fight that year, and I was playing the hard game, but I didn't have a lot of points on the table. But at the same time, when I didn't get drafted, just like it was a turning point a little bit. Like when I get traded to Sherbrooke, it's like a turning point in your life that you got to take some decision. And if you're there and it's not where you want to be, like there you got to take some decision that's gonna change that. And I took some, and it went good here in Sherbrooke, and it just changed my junior career when I came in Sherbrooke.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you were progressing either way every year, like in Rimouski, 5, 20, 32. But then you get traded to Sherbrooke. You're in your hometown now. You're living at home. So basically, no rules, no billet rules. Your parents aren't calling coaches on you. You know what I mean? And and you're 19 years old now, and you get 58 points in 68 games. So you light it up. I mean, you're 10 points under a point per game. I'd say you lit it up. You had way more goals. I don't have the goals written down here. But then you go your 20 year, you're an assistant captain now in your hometown, and you get 44 goals and 44 assists for 88 points. You lit it up. That's some first rounder shit. You've reached your potential that you've expected to reach. Like it took you to get traded to I guess like living at home must have helped you, and being in your hometown. And I feel like that also might have helped you because you were really living your dream. Like your dream was to play in the Q because you grew up watching the Q, but you grew up watching the Q in Sherbrooke like as a kid. Right? Now you're one of those guys that you used to look up to, and not only that, but you were just nominated by your team for humanitarian of the year. And I saw some of the things that you did within your community, creating things using your name to bring equipment in from people to give to the less fortunate and in your community and all that, and everything you're doing around your community to help kids. And I just feel like, does that have a lot to do? Like, does your success have a lot to do with just really being in your hometown and seeing yourself as one of those guys you used to look up to?
Honestly, obviously it's helped, but I think I just had some opportunity that I didn't have a little bit, like back in the Rimouski, either off the ice or on the ice, and but you gotta take those opportunities that present in front of you, and that's what I did. And I was kind of hard sometimes. Like you still have some, I still have some shit like during every year, but
Yeah,
like it was better. It was better.
definitely. Can you talk about like maybe the biggest things you worked on last summer? Because last year, after your 19-year-old year, you go to your first NHL camp with Boston, right?
Yeah.
Can you talk about that experience? Because now it's like, I feel like as a 17-year-old, you don't, after your 17-year-old year, you don't get drafted in the NHL.
Mm.
After your 18-year-old year, you don't get a camp opportunity. And then at a 19-year-old, you do get a camp opportunity. So is that kind of like somebody gave you that light back at the end of your tunnel and you were like, holy shit, like now it's happening a bit later, but it's happening?
Yeah, I think I always like trust the process. Like kind of cliche to say that, but I always work hard in the summer or during the season, and I always believe in myself. My parents always do, and my agent also. So like it's easy to just take a step and just like take the easy way when you don't get results like I didn't get. But it kind of cliche, but honestly, I just trust the process, and I think like I could have. I always think I can be a professional hockey player, and just to trust it and just like do what you have to do every day, like to get better. It was the main part of like getting this camp, and when I was there, like it kind of opens my eyes that like man, I can play there. It was at the rookie camp in Buffalo against I think there was Buffalo, New Jersey, and Pittsburgh Penguins rookie team that were there too. And I playing it against those guys was like just opening my eyes and say like, man, you can play there, and just continue to do the work. And because when you see like the pro and AHL in your mind, it's kind of bigger than what it is. But I
It's big,
think you
it
just have
seems bigger than you. It seems bigger than you.
yeah, every a lot. And just like to be to sign like this, then I have a step in the professional hockey world. So then it's in my way, and what I'm gonna do with that in the future.
Yeah, that's man, that's unbelievable. By the way, congratulations on that. You you got 44 goals and 44 assists this year. I know I already mentioned that, but holy fuck, man. 88 points in the queue in 63 games. Was that something, did going to an NHL camp really just like inspire you and give you confidence? Or was it more like, did you see how like the professional was and you became more professional about everything, and or a little bit of both?
Obviously, give me a little bit more confidence. Um, but I didn't get really the chance to be with some real professional hockey player because it was just a little tournament for like a week. But obviously there was some guys like I play with like Frederick or Todd, Nika, and also there was Brock. So like you can see those guys how they work and what they taking and how they practice, and kind of show you a little bit like how to do. And the main thing I take from that and then I come back to my junior season was like just every day you can do something to improve. It was like after each practice, either you take some shots or you practice some little things like in front of the net, and that's where I score my goals this year. Like I'm not a big sniper, I'm not a big skills guy, but I know where I score my goals, and it's definitely in the paint, and where and then I had a good season this year after working every day like this.
Hard in the paint, baby. Hard in the
Yeah,
paint.
yeah, get the nose there, man.
What's gonna be your main focus right now going into your first professional season? What's your main focus, and maybe what are you gonna be working on more than anything this summer?
Obviously, I want to get a little bit heavier, a little because I played a big game, but there it's like guys are bigger. But just keep doing what I do like in the past, and I did in the past, and like working on speed because now hockey is all about speed and speed. So like you have to be a quick guy even if you're heavy. So I'm gonna work on that.
Definitely, I'd say speed like is the biggest thing. Like when jumping up, like any level, jumping up from U16 or Bantam
Mm-hmm.
to the Q, from the Q to
Yeah.
any league. I feel like the biggest thing is just speed. If you can keep up with the guys, then you're good to go. And especially if you can drop the mitts too. Um, can do you remember? Can you think of you played in the queue for 5 years? So like I played
Yeah.
in the queue for bits and parts of 3 years, and I have a ton of funny stories. So you played in the queue for 5 years. Can you think of one funny story that happened to you, or to someone in the queue? You can not name names, or you can name names, and or you can whatever you want.
I got a few, well, 5 years is a lot. Like you're always with the boys, and it's always like there's always something going on. But like I think one time at my it was I don't even know if you were in the team or if you it was the year before, but I think in Rimouski I missed the bus to go to Batters in the training camp for a a fucking a game like exhibition game, and then I think the bus like was going I was leaving at 6:30 in the morning, and I just woke up at 8:30. I just see my phones, and it was like raining, and I had like unread message text, and then I just realized like I fucked up, and then I called Serge Beausoleil, our head coach. It was kind of scary at the time too. So I was like, "Oh man, sorry, Serge, just didn't woke up," and he just like locked down the phone and just don't answer me back, and I just like stay at Rimouski when the boys went battered. It was kind of
Okay, so was your 18 year?
yeah, yeah.
So you know who got the game winner in the shootout of that game?
Yeah, it was you. It was you. I remember telling everyone, eh? I think after that goal, you thought you gotta score fucking 30 goals.
Oh my God, I thought I was gonna get 50 that year, but but anyway, can you like this year you were living at home? Can you run us through like what was a game day like for you? You play in the QMJHL. You're a 20-year-old vet now, fifth year vet. So what was your game day routine like? Like you wake up, like all that shit, like what time, and go to the rink, what time, and everything.
Well, every morning, when we got like let's say it's a Friday night in Sherbrooke, so we just woke up around 7:45. Gotta be at a ring at 8:45. I have a billet brother here in my home. It's Patrick Gay is the brother of my best friend Nick Gay. He's a first rounder like 2 years ago for Sherbrooke. It's actually a draft year this year, so we drove to the rink, and then there's a little morning skate, meetings, and then we go to the restaurant eat some eggs with the boys. Like it's kind of, I think it's a classic for every Q guy, every Q team. I was in the Rimouski. It was the shape so good there.
Oh wait. Lafreniere?
Yeah, Lefillier, the Chaser, yeah, and then just go back to home, kind of watch Netflix a little bit, do a little nap. I used to nap like 3 hours a day, like before game day. That's kind of good, I heard, but it just gave me like some good legs, and I find my way to have good legs, and then go to the rink 2 hours before the game and play some ball games and warm ups, and then the puck drops coming up.
Fucking right. And by the way, 3 hour naps, man. If it works for you, it works for you, man. Nothing's wrong, man. As long as it works, 44 goals works, baby. What would you say, like in your whole Q career, what's your favorite rink to play in?
I think it's Halifax. It's I mean the fans there and like there's it's kind of always packed and it's a big rink, it's a nice rink. The wind were loud, so when you hit, it's everyone's know you hit the guy, and I think it's one of the nicest rink I've played here.
Definitely, I agree. Who's the best player you've played with in the queue? I think I know this answer. Other than me, though.
Obviously it's like talent size ways is Alexis Lafreniere when I was in Rimouski, and my third year there was his first year. He was so talented, like everybody knows him. He's gonna be first pick overall this year in the Q in the NHL draft. So everybody knows him. But I play with some good players in Sherbrooke too, like Samuel Poulin and Felix Rabay. They were my line mates for the two last year, and they really helped me to be the hockey player that I am right now. And honestly, Sam Poulin is just is a machine, man. It's incredible. He's already a professional. He's huge. He's fast. His skills. He dropped the mitts one time this season. He smoked the guy. Honestly, it's one of the hard workers guys too, and I love this, like the way he plays and who he is too. It's a good friend.
Who did he draft by?
He's drafted by the Pittsburgh Penguins in the first round. I think it's the 22 pick last year. Yeah.
Oh wow! So he was 18 years old this year.
Yeah, was her captain. He was her captain actually at 17 after Christmas, and
wow.
this year was her captain too.
Yeah. You had the most goals in a season in Sherbrooke history this season. You just talked about your two line mates and their caliber of play. I assume you guys had a sick team going into playoffs, so that kind of sucks that everything got shut down. Where were you guys at, like going into the playoffs?
Well, we were first in the CHL for all season long. It was like my last year, and everything was going well. And then there's that virus that like just fucker plans. Honestly, it was kind of hard. It was just like it was not just the end of a season or a normal season for us. It was like everything, because in Sherbrooke, you got to know that it's a young franchise. They're only been in the league for 8 years, and it was actually the first time that they were a good team there, and it was like for the owners and for everyone, it was like just the perfect year, and it just screwed up like this and flies away. It was just like nobody saw that coming, but when it came, it just hit us a lot.
I always say, like, I always think to myself, like, it's the worst for a couple guys, for seniors that are graduating college, especially if you were on a sick team going into the playoffs, but also for 20 bombs leaving the CHL, especially if you were on a sick team going into the playoffs, especially a guy like you who's having the career of his life. And last year, I think you had like 11 points in 9 playoff games. So you showed that like you would have came up big for playoffs and shit, and it could have made a big difference in your career. So that's fucking brutal for you, honestly.
Yeah.
But you think if the NHL comes back, like there's no way the Q will come back for the playoffs too, right? No way. Right?
No, they just end the season like couple weeks ago, so it's just over. And I think they just think about like just start the season in January for next year. So even there, I don't know what's gonna happen, and everyone's there are on their toes, and it's just they don't know what to do. You know,
Everyone's at home though. Nobody's training. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like nobody
yeah,
can go on the
yeah.
ice. Like, are you gonna just start a season? But anyway, speaking of being at home, what have you been up to at home?
I built a little gym in my backyard, so it's kind of not that bad that way. But I chill with my girlfriend and my family. I do some FaceTime with my friends, and it's kind of nice to just gotta see the positive way. And like there's nothing to do, so I work a lot on myself, like outside in the gym, and like there's nothing more to do, so just doing that and pretty much it.
Really, dude. I think the same way, bro. Like this is a perfect time to just like look at yourself, not only like work out more and get bigger and get stronger, but also like the mental side of things, like really plan out your goals, like think about what you want to do and what you want to accomplish. Was your contract, is it 1 year or 2 years?
It's a 2-year contract, one way in the A.
It's a 2 year one way in the A. That's unreal. Congrats, by the way, again. And so like now you got a chance to really sit back and like, whereas right now you'd be kind of running around, you'd be like you'd be mid-season, right? So like right now you get to really think about like what you want to do with this like accomplishment. Like you talked about how you get opportunities, like you got opportunities in Sherbrooke and you've been taking them. So now this is a new opportunity and you get time to like really think about how you're gonna approach it. And actually, I wanted to ask, you signed an AHL contract, so do you go to the NHL camp next year?
I don't know, honestly. I think last year, Samuel last name went for a day or two. He signed a 2-year contract too, so I think it's gonna be the same thing. But like with this, like the virus and everything, like we don't know what's gonna happen. I don't even know if there's gonna be a camp or like if the NHL just started in August. We don't know if there's gonna be a camp or like we just settle down and watching what's gonna happen.
Yeah. Have you been watching anything on Netflix over there? I know Canadian Netflix is a bit different, but
Yeah, man. I don't know if you watched that, but probably Tiger King is the best. It was a good time there. I'm kind of sad it's
I have
over.
no idea. I bet you the people, by the time I release this episode, the people listening are gonna get tired of me asking the Netflix show guys watching them saying Tiger King or mentioning Tiger King.
Yeah, it was a good show. Like I love cats and I love tigers, but like then with the big part and the murder behind all of that and Sarah Bastian and Exotic Joe, it's so funny. I mean, I can't believe they like those people live in your country, man. They're kind of close to you.
I'm sure there's Canadians that have cats, bro. Especially. Dude.
Log.
Definitely some cats over there. Well, bro, that's all I got for you, bro. I really appreciate you coming on, giving us your time. We have to switch the day to today from Wednesday because you got a big Fox Sports interview. Not a big deal. So I love to see you coming up, bro. I love to see you reaching your potential. Fucking AHL contract, 2-year, one way. Give me the money, Alex Olivier-Voyer, baby. Thanks for coming.
Thank you, bud.
All right. Let me just